Boom. Hello, Facebook land. Welcome to John Ferrian Live. We've got episode number 134 ready for you tonight. I hope you guys come in. I hope you see this. Let me know if everybody's coming in. Let us know where you're watching from. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties getting this three-way call dialed in, but hopefully everybody will be seeing us soon. There we go. I see people rolling in now. We got some live viewers. Thanks for dropping in, everybody, on this wonderful Labor Day weekend of 2020. Drop it in the comments, folks. Let us know where you're watching from tonight. And as you do, be sure to share the show out. So we've got another great set of prizes here from Woody's Racing. Up for grabs this week is a Woody's Racing t-shirt. And, of course, we'll send you some Idahoan potatoes, one of the Woody's Racing team sponsors. We'll have that all going in. So, all right. We got Patrick Fines checking in from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Love the show, bro. Awesome. I appreciate it, Patrick. Everybody else who's chiming in and watching, we're here on Labor Day weekend. Kevin Carell is watching from the Turbo Skidoo group, the Factory Turbo group. He's got an epic event coming up here in January up in, where's he at? I think it's going to be in McCall. So him and I are chatting a little bit back and forth. We'll work out the details, and we'll get you some more details in future episodes. But Kevin, thanks for dropping in and watching the show tonight. We appreciate what you're doing for the sport. But yeah, guys, watch the video here tonight. Share the video out. Follow Woody's Racing both on Facebook and Instagram. We got Joe Labernick watching from Yakima, Washington. Awesome. I love it, guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We've got a great episode. So Mr. Connor Hood is watching from Enumclaw, Washington. I love it. So we've got the share and win information up there. Let's go ahead and drop that. You guys can see I'm wearing the brand new John Ferrian Live Live Large hat. So check that out. The logo you're looking at on the side of the screen is the same logo embroidered on the hat. You guys can get those right now. In the show notes, there's a website link for the Live Large website, Live Large item orders. You can get in there and order the awesome t-shirts. You can order the hats. And 100% of all the profits from those go to Erie to support the Live Large University, the Avalanche Scholarship Program. And the next picture here, I'm going to drop and show you that. That is absolutely what we have going on next. We have the Live Large University, which happens to be the same shirt our buddy Todd Cramer is wearing tonight. We can see half of his face sticking through the show here with the pictures that are coming through. And let's bring up Todd and Devon now. Here we go. Oop, sorry, guys. We're going to drop these pictures. There we go. Let's kill the music and talk to these boys. How's it going, guys?
Going good.
That's awesome. So we have Devon Baker on the show tonight, and we have Todd Cramer on the show tonight. So, Devon, you're tuning in from where? Remind us where you live, where you're at.
So I am up here in Sheridan, Wyoming.
Sheridan, Wyoming. And so that's amazing. And so you're running a group called Baker's Backcountry Team, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. We're going to get all dialed in on that tonight and talk to you a little bit more about that here as we go. We've got some folks also tuning in here. We got Pat McCoy, Kyle Franklin, Scott Hennessy, and Nina Clifton. We got all kinds of folks tuning in tonight on this Labor Day weekend. It's always one of those things where on the Labor Day weekend, people are still at the beach hanging out and all that. So how about you, Todd? How about where are you watching in from tonight? Are you coming in from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho? Is that right?
Absolutely. A good old Northwest.
Awesome. So, Todd, I'm going to have you back away a little bit. I know we were kind of last minute dialing things in again. If you can kind of back up just a little bit, we'll make sure that we get you guys in the screen here. But this is a really exciting episode for me tonight, guys, because this specific episode, it really kind of embodies and empowers what Live Large has been about, what John Ferrian Live has been about. It's all about that positive growth of the sport, spreading the passion, spreading, safety and education. And both of you guys have been what I would put in the category of super fans all along. And, of course, those who know Todd's been my ambassador since January, of course, and he's out spreading the love as well. So really appreciate you guys both coming on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. We definitely appreciate it. Absolutely.
Awesome.
It's definitely a privilege, that's for sure.
That's awesome. And so, Devon, let's take a little bit of time to get to know you a little bit tonight, and let's just talk a little bit about, who's Devon Baker. Again, we talked a little bit about where you live, but, give us a little background on you, kind of maybe what your day job is, that kind of thing, and a little bit about your family maybe, so we can kind of get to know you a little bit before we dive into the story tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, John. So for my day job, I actually own my own detailing business. I worked up at our local dog and cat shelter for, was it, a little over 3 years. That was really cool. I got to learn how to do, canine dog training and a little bit of medical stuff on the side. I can't do much because, of course, I'm not a veterinarian.
There you go.
But yeah, that was a really good job. But I did start my detailing business, and it's been doing very well. So I thought I'd just take it full force and do it full time.
That's awesome. And so, when did you first get into sledding? Have you been sledding your whole life? From when you were a little kid, or was it later in life that you got into it? What's the story there?
Well, so as far back as I could remember, so my grandfather, he was actually a pro rider in the Rimshaw circuit back in the late 80s to the mid 90s. And my grandpa and my dad, they actually, I mean, my both sides of my family, my mom's side and my dad's side,
Yeah.
they all together. So it's like one big family of riders. And I remember my mom, sharing stories with me, back when I was it 6 months old. My dad had me on his, was it a 90, was it 94, 95 Polaris Indy Storm 800 triple. I mean, just a monster of a sled.
Yeah.
Really fast. I remember my grandpa always getting on my dad about, you can't go that fast with him on there. And you know how the grandparent thing is. And so from there on, I remember being 4 years old. My grandpa and my grandma actually bought me a little kitty cat.
Okay.
And so I started racing that when I was 4. And what we have here in the Bighorn National Forest is what's called snowmads. They would put up events throughout the winter and stuff. And so I get to race in those and actually did really well. And as I got older, I just started working my way up in the CCs, and from there, everything went great. And then I kind of got out of the racing thing because I found my heart in the backcountry.
Yeah.
It was a whole new world, actually. It was more of a freedom thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't just on one track. It was, well, everything's ready to be ridden. I mean, most of everything.
So like a blank canvas with ready to be painted up with your paintbrush, which was a sled, a mountain sled, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
That's perfect.
Yep.
So cool. Let's
Go ahead.
shuffle over to Todd a little bit and get for folks who maybe hadn't seen Todd's previous episode. Todd, you were episode number 100, which is the day and the night that you became our Live Large ambassador. At the beginning of the show, that wasn't planned. It was at the end of the show as things were going on. You had inspired me to throw that out there and throw it up in the air, and we've been partnering ever since. But even before that, you were definitely in the category of what I call a Live Large super fan, or just a top fan for sure, and really have embraced us from the beginning. But for those who didn't see that previous episode, let's give us just a real quick background on you and where you live, kind of what you do for your day job, that kind of thing too.
So I live in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Right now I'm currently working for myself and working with a partner of mine. Just trying to branch out and start my own business because, as we all know, this is an expensive sport and it needs to pay. So I started working for myself. A little bit about my sledding history is I've never rode a sled before. 3 years ago.
Before you jump off there, though, so you said you work for yourself, but you didn't tell us what you do. So you do construction, though, right? If I remember right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I do construction, home improvements, pretty much from A to Z. Anything you have to do with building a house,
That's
concrete,
awesome.
all of it. So
that's awesome. All right, now go ahead and jump into the sled and stuff.
So I started about 3 years ago. I got to give a big shout out to my buddy Steve Bellavance and Jake Barney. If you guys are watching or you do watch, thank you very much for what you got me into and the passion that you started in me. So I got a call from my buddy. He wanted me to come sledding, and I said, "What's a snowmobile?" So I went down to his cabin and I went sledding, and that was all she wrote. I came home and I bought 2 sleds, and I've been after it ever since. I used to have a pretty big hiccup in my life. Alcohol had hindered my life a little bit. I don't like to call myself an alcoholic because I've overcome that, but I had a drinking problem, and this has taken that away from me. I don't even don't even shake my head at a drink anymore. I'm all about hitting that throttle and just pursuing my passion and pursuing relationships in the industry with other people, whether it be whatever kind of relationship it might be. It's all about making a difference and a positive difference. We've got so much negativity in the world these days that it's all about, building people up and pushing them to do what they want to do. If you hadn't encouraged me and talked to me and mentored me, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So
yeah, that's awesome. Those are all things we're going to dive deep into tonight and kind of talk through with both of you guys too. And it's a kind of a really cool story because Todd, maybe we'll just start with you. Is kind of remind us of you first started following the show and watching the show, and kind of think about those early months and times that you started following the show. Of kind of what did the show mean to you? Like when you were watching it, kind of what was crossing your mind, and what inspired you to start sharing it so much and getting really passionate about the show, the John Ferrian Live show, the Live Large show, and what ultimately brought us together. But talk to me a little bit about what was going through your mind in that early process of just really being excited about the show and what it meant.
Well, I was a rookie, and I was fresh into it. So, I mean, just going over the safety, going over the backcountry education, getting other people on that ride the backcountry and share the same joy that we share, the same passion that we share in the sport. It was something I look forward to every Sunday night. It was almost it still is a ritual for me. I mean, it's Sunday night, 7:00. The John Ferrian show's on. Best part of my week. So I don't know. It just really made me open to the industry and to see, you can be in your community and see certain things, and it only rolls around like once a year. But as you were doing your shows and your episodes, I could see it every Sunday night.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if it was summer or winter, or it was like just pulling you into the industry, into the sport a little bit more than what you normally do without the show. So I was super inspired. So I started sharing, and I shared till I couldn't hit the button anymore, and then they kicked me off Facebook. So,
literally, right? You shared till you couldn't share anymore because
Facebook jail several times. I'm sure I've got deleted several times because I posted John Ferrian Live all over everything, everywhere. It didn't matter what site I was posting it. So I think I won 5 times in a row. And then we had to make a Todd Cramer rule.
Yeah, we made the Todd Cramer rule. Now we tell everybody that it's got to be 45 days between your wins. So if you've won once, we got to give you a 45-day break, and then we'll bring you back in. So it was awesome because, you won I think 3 or 4 times back-to-back almost.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That was last year. I won a lot of stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So let's jump back over to Devon for a minute. We'll kind of get that piece of his story as well, and then we'll come back to you, Todd. So Devon, why don't you talk to me a little bit about when you first stumbled across the John Ferrian Live show and kind of your level of engagement with it, what it meant to you, and then why don't you then bring us up to the point where you had sent me a private note as I was traveling across country this summer and invited me to stop in and say hi. So. But yeah, give us a little background on your show and on your time spent watching the show and getting to know what John Ferrian Live and Live Large is all about. So,
yeah, absolutely. So it was actually kind of weird how I stumbled across your show. So I, I had to take a few years off from riding sleds after I got myself cleaned up and everything was good. I built my mountain sled, and so I got back into the Facebook thing, and I actually found some snowmobile groups. So I joined them, and I was scrolling through one night, and it was actually a Sunday night, and it popped up on one of the snowmobile groups, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. So I checked it out, and I hit play. I think you're almost like 3/4 of the way done with the show.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, okay. And so I actually, after you posted the show, I actually went and rewatched it. And it was, at that time, I was actually trying to find my purpose for snowmobiling, where I wanted to go with the industry, kind of what I wanted to do with it. And, after watching your show, and it hit me like, wow, this guy's really making a difference in the sled world. And then let's see, after I kind of started watching your show and stuff, I know you posted well, I think you're beginning on your road trip. Actually, you posted the picture of you with the minivan,
Yeah.
and so I commented on there, and I'm like, hey, nice ride. And the comments, they just start popping up, and everybody was like, hey, where you headed? And I kind of posted on there like, I think I messaged you, hey, if you're coming through Wyoming, the top of it, I think you'll come right through the town that I live in. If so, if you could stop, and I'd like to meet you, that'd be awesome. And so you did. I actually just had my new Polaris Pro, my Turbo Pro. I just went and got like 2 days before you came down, so I still had it on the trailer. Actually, when I met you at the gas station, and that was really cool. And we talked for a little bit, and you really inspired me. I think after meeting you, like I said, I was trying to find my purpose on where I wanted to go with the sport.
Mhm.
And it became clear after I met you, like, you know what? It clicked. Like, I know what I want to do. And so that's when I kind of started shuffling around the idea of, I love to film every year. That's, one of my big things.
Yeah.
Every year, make a film. And it kind of hit me like, I really want to start my own team here in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Get a really good group of guys together and make films every year. It's one of my passions. And I actually private messaged you and, asked you, hey, I was kind of looking through your stuff and I don't see you have any films out or anything. And so we started talking about that. And, you just met me. So, you didn't really know who I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm I kind of jumped
Yeah.
the gun.
Yeah, let's pause the story for just a second because I think you're letting the cat out of the bag a little early yet. So we'll kind of get back to that later in the show again. So no worries there. So it's like you two guys are like hurting a bag of kittens, right? So it's like so Devon, something you didn't know or probably maybe still don't know is that me stopping by to see you that morning when I left in the morning from Washington, I think it was something like 3 a.m. and I was just beelining it as fast as I could through. Where was I heading that night? I think it was Casper, Wyoming that night. And I was going through there. And, I had no plans at all to stop and see anybody that day. And I just wasn't even on my mind. My mind was on the destination. And when you reached out, I was like, it's, it's not out of the way at all. It'll take us 10 minutes. We got to get gas anyway. And then little unbeknownst to me, like, just so you know, you completely pissed off Todd Cramer. He was mad that I didn't stop and talk to him.
Oh.
But that was
I won't deny that.
That's okay, but that was what I loved though, because that was probably that first message, that call was the thing that kind of gave me that thought process of like, man, like this whole road trip would be kind of cool if we stopped and just it really hadn't even crossed my mind all that much too. I was just kind of going to see friends and family, and then when we were going through there too, and like I felt really bad, Todd. I literally drove through your town that morning, but it was probably literally like 6 or 7 in the morning. I don't even know that we would have been able to bump into each other or not, but I felt bad after I drove through and didn't get to see you that day. And then on our route home, we didn't go through Coeur d'Alene either. We came up through Salt Lake all the way through the Tri-Cities. So
no worries.
So my apologies, but it's kind of a funny story that we're all on the page here together. But it was like, like Todd was mad that like you stopped and saw Devon and didn't see me, which is awesome. I tell that story not to embarrass Todd, but to just showcase like I felt so bad that I'm like, man, I saw all these cool people too, and I drove right by my own guy Todd Cramer, and I felt like a dope afterwards. So public apology to Todd Cramer for not swinging through Coeur d'Alene, Idaho that morning. So.
It's all good.
I would have probably like been standing at the front door, and you would have opened the door in your underwear or something like that, right? Like making up in the morning.
I do have some good huckleberry syrup for pancakes, though.
Oh,
you missed
man.
out.
All right, next round, we're gonna have to make that happen. So, but bottom line is the cool part is both you guys have got this really interesting background to me is that. Devon, you alluded to it, but you didn't go into much detail there too, which is fine. But Todd, you've struggled with alcoholism in your life, and were a heavy drinker. And Devon, there was drugs in your life, right? That was something that both of you guys at different points in your life have kind of struggled with, kind of keeping the wheels on the cart, if you will, right? And kind of have lost yourselves at some point in your life. And what I really. Yeah, what I really have kind of excited about and empowered by is that the two of you kind of with your similar backgrounds, and frankly, I think there's more and more people out there that are probably have been through those same similar type of things, but sometimes are afraid to say it out loud, right? And that's something I really want to honor you guys and commend you guys for making it through that part of your life, realizing that wasn't the right direction in your lives, and finding something that inspired you. And for both of you guys, you found snowmobiling, right? And somewhere through that process, you stumbled across the John Ferrian live show and the Live Large and what it all meant. And I keep preaching to everybody, it's like, live life to the fullest, make the most of every day, and do good to others, right? It's like support other people in the world. And that was something you guys heard and that you gravitated to, and you guys have really just jumped all on board and been super passionate, and we're super excited about doing all kinds of great things. And that brings us full circle to kind of where we're coming now. But Todd, looked like you had something on your mind. Go ahead.
No, the wife just brought in a bunch of vegetables from the garden, so I'm checking them out.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You look like you were gonna jump in and say something, but no worries, no worries. And so, Devon, I'm gonna jump over to you next here, and let's talk. And Todd, we'll come to you next after that too. But you guys both have, coincidentally, like the cool part I love is that you guys are passionate about what I'm doing. You're helping share it. You're making a difference already, just from the standpoint of just sharing this show out and making a difference. But you guys have also found your own individual paths, which is cool. So Todd, it's Soul Sledders for you and your page there. In a minute, I'm going to come back to you and you can talk a little bit about Soul Sledders. Devon, for you, it was the Baker's Backcountry team, right, and what that meant. And so talk to me a little bit, Devon, about your Baker Backcountry team, kind of specifically your goals with it, some of the people that you've pulled in into it. And specifically, there's some very interesting people, one of which is watching tonight is Connor, right? And,
Yep.
I don't know if I know everybody on the team yet. I think I know them all by name, but I haven't met most of them, or part of some of them anyway. But just talk a little bit about, again, what your goal was. It was, you started talking about you were hoping to do some filming. We're going to get to kind of a film partnership announcement later tonight here. We'll get to that later. But just talk more about the backcountry team and what you're trying to do with that team and pulling them together.
Right. Well, when I started the Baker's Backcountry team, I mainly wanted to get, a group of people that, are on the same level of passion, that I was. And, I'm going to go through the names that I actually picked. So the first one I actually picked was actually Connor Hood. Hey, Connor.
How old is
Kid,
How old is Connor? Tell everybody how old Connor is.
Connor is 14 years old, but I can tell you right now, that kid being 14, like probably the most awesome kid I've ever met. Like that kid's great.
That's awesome.
What really caught my eye with him actually was he actually joined Baker's Backcountry team, my team page.
Yeah.
He just started posting all the stuff with his, I think he had the 13 or 14 Players Pro. And, he's posting all this stuff like, yeah, this is what I did to it. And it kind of really caught my eye like, man, I remember being at that age. And, back then we didn't really have the social media platform. So I couldn't really share it with everybody, but it really caught my eye. He reminded me a lot of me back then. So I messaged in, I'm like, started talking to him for a little bit, and one thing led to another, and I asked him, hey Connor, I'm starting this team. We're going to be making films every year. I was wondering if you wanted to maybe be a part of it. And he said, yeah, absolutely. And so of course with him, being only 14, I'm like, all right, well, let's get a video chat going on so I can, talk to your parents about it before I just say, hey, yep, you're on the team.
Yeah.
So that went there. We got one of my best friends, Gregory Briggs. He's actually my editor. He went to school for it. I have James Kaufman. He actually just joined. What was that, Todd? Like two or 3 days ago, I think it was.
Yeah, last week sometime.
Yep. And then I actually, let's see, we got Ryan Cook. He actually raced in the grass drags today. He did awesome. And then I actually added someone very special to me. It's actually my sister-in-law. Her name is Summer Woodstrand. She always loves to go riding. She just absolutely loves it. And, she doesn't have too much experience, but, she's seen what I was doing with this team. And she goes, hey, I'd really like to try and be a part of it just somehow. And I was like, you know what, Summer, let's get you a mountain sled. I want to train you. Like basically I'm going to take you under my wing and we're going to train you.
Yeah.
And so that one was really cool, really excited. But the goal with this whole Baker's Backcountry team, like I said, I wanted to make a team that was, doing positive things, not out there, no drinking, drugs, partying, none of that. I wanted to make something pure. And, with filming, that's one of my passion and about everybody on the team's passion. So it was kind of a perfect fit for everybody to be on there.
And that's awesome. Like, I think of a lot of folks who would, sit here and try to pull together kind of a team and start filming and those kind of things too. And, a lot of times the primary goal that everybody would have would be to find somebody who was an epic rider, right? That would be probably your first goal in most cases. But it's kind of like, I'll just throw it out there. It's kind of like me in the sport, right? It's like, am I a good rider? Well, yeah, but like that's not what my focus is. My focus is about changing and evolving, the backcountry riding culture in the country around, safety and education. And just bottom line is just trying to invest in the sport and make a difference in the sport. And, through this show and all the amazing people who continue to show up and watch it every week, and for, people like you two that are on the show tonight, like it's been just an amazing journey for me over, October will be 2.5 years. So we're just shy of 2.5 years now, 134 episodes. It's been just an epic journey for me. And to see you guys kind of grab on to kind of that concept of taking something and taking a spin-off and making it your own through Baker's Backcountry, team, trying to do something positive in the industry. To me, I think it's the idea of like planting a seed, coaching, and we're going to talk about this in a minute too, kind of this coaching and this mentorship and what that means for you guys. But, it's just amazing to see you guys kind of, grabbing the baton and running your leg of the race, if you will, but kind of making your own world out of it. So nice job, Devon, so far. So
awesome, thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's talk a little bit about Todd Cramer and Soul Sledders. So when you started the Soul Sledders page, Todd, kind of what was your thoughts and goals for getting that page running?
It's just it was riding with a passion for a purpose, and we all have a purpose that we're out there riding for, and the passion comes from within, and it's deep down in our soul. So I decided to call it Soul Sledders and kind of run with that, and just about networking and getting in touch with people all over the country, and riding with people and seeing different areas to ride in and ride with different people, and just something positive, spreading a bunch of positivity throughout the industry that sometimes you just see everybody I don't know. I just wanted to be more positive in the industry and just push forward and kind of start something where everybody could share a little bit of their riding territory, what they're riding, and just interact with each other.
Yep. So a quick shout out, you guys, from a few people watching tonight. We have Skinner Bell saying it's awesome to see you guys. And by the way, Skinner says he's mad at me too because I drove right by him that week too, and I missed him. So Todd, you're not alone. Skinner's a good guy, and I missed him too. Unfortunately, I was trying to hit everybody as I could, but I only had so much time. But Todd, yours is just a blatant oversight on my part. So sorry about that. But he says, Skinner also says, great to see people like you guys doing what you're doing. That's awesome. And Marilyn Ellingston says, proud to see you guys grow. That's awesome. Kevin Carell says, Devon and Todd, you guys both rock. So you guys got a lot of positive comments coming in. That's awesome. And so one thing I want to talk about, Todd, with you specifically, because, our relationship's been a little longer in the making than in Devon, but I feel like I'm at a very similar place with Devon as I was with you a while back, where, Todd came into this with the idea that, like, man, I'm just so excited. I'm so pumped. And it was like 0 to 1,000,000 miles an hour, like right now. Right. and there was times where we had to kind of like, okay, buddy, like slow down, like let's chat a little bit. And so tell me a little bit about, from your point of view, Todd, some of those early conversations of, what I would call kind of mentorship and support and coaching to help you work through kind of those early days of figuring out, what is a post need to look like, how many shares is too many shares. And there was those early days of trying to kind of coach you into finessing kind of what ultimately you've been doing now. So
I wanted it all, and I wanted it right away. I mean, I wanted it now. So I would post everything all the time, and anything that had to do with snowmobiling, all my pictures that I had taken that day, just everything that I could think of. And yeah, there was times where I was really upset with John. I'm going to be honest with you, but there's probably times he was upset with me too. But it just became kind of a back and forth mentoring relationship where I was able to sit back and say, hey, you're right. I need to slow down. I need to look at what I'm doing, who I am networking to, and not chase people away because I'm super excited, but I don't need to show my excitement like that. It needs to be more directed in a positive way.
Yeah.
And so we just grew together. You really coached me and mentored me, and gave me an outline of kind of where I needed to place things and put things in the order they needed to come into.
Yeah.
And so I started getting results, and I started seeing things progress. And so I kind of went from 100 down to 75, we'll say. And I was still full bore, going 100 miles an hour, and it started to kind of fall together, and things just started to roll, and now I'm down to about, I got it set on cruise control at about 45, I think. And, it's neat to see the people that I've been able to meet. I want a big shout out to Nina and Kyle. They came up this past summer. I got to meet them. I'm just getting to meet all these people all over the country that I would have never met before.
Yeah.
And they all have an interest that we all share. And I don't know. I'm just, it kind of blows me away that I'm where I'm at today.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And so what I love is that, when you first got going, your energy and your passion, everything was there. But, that idea of kind of taking things and kind of, adding a level of professionalism to it and kind of, cutting off the ragged edges a little bit and kind of, honing you into the more professional version of what you present yourself online now today. And I think it served you well, right? Like you think of where you were a year and a half ago when we first started this journey, and where you've come to today with the different sponsors you've been able to attract over this last year. It's been an amazing journey for you, and you're seeing and finding the benefits directly now of that positive influence, that positive message, and staying focused on your goal, but not just blowing up the world all at one time and kind of maybe scaring people away, right? So
Right, absolutely.
That's
I'm
awesome.
pretty excited about the sponsors I've landed this year. So
Yep, absolutely.
yeah.
We'll cover at the end. We'll have you guys an opportunity if you want to do any shouts to sponsors too. We'll do that at the end today. But Devon, why don't we talk through your journey a little bit too? I'll go back to that conversation. Also, it's actually very similar to Todd's, and this is why I have both you guys on the show here tonight. Where I met you, you were super excited. And I'll be honest with you, I was super honored that you reached out to me and even wanted to meet me. And, you'd said I want you to autograph my sled or whatever. And we couldn't find a Sharpie, so I slapped a sticker on your sled instead. But it was just the fact that you were excited to meet me made me feel very honored and humbled that that was something that was important to you. And so I'm like, who the heck am I to not give you that opportunity? And, as we all find out now, is sometimes taking 10 minutes, this is really a life lesson for everybody watching and anybody else out there, is taking 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it is out of your day when you might, think about it. I was beelining to my buddy's house. I could have easily just blew you off or whatever, but I'm like, we'll make it work, right? We'll figure out how to make this work. And so we stopped, literally it was like a 10 or 15 minute visit. And based on, from my point of view, looking back, is that moment was a very pivotal moment in your transition between wondering and kind of what direction you wanted to go to really giving you a lot of clarity on that too. And at the moment that we were meeting, I never in a million years would have guessed that 15-minute visit was so impactful to you. But I'd love to hear kind of more detail on that specific moment for you. And then we'll talk then, finish that part first, kind of that day and what that meant to you. And then we'll go into I think the message you sent me a few days later, and I'll kind of tee that up next. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you said yes, I'll definitely stop it. I was actually still working up at our local dog and cat shelter at the time, and it was really cool. I went to every single one of my employees or friends I worked with, and I was like, "Oh my God, guys, check this out! He's actually going to stop and meet me. This is really cool." And my boss actually told me, she's like, "You just need to take off work early. You're just bouncing around everywhere."
Awesome.
And I'm like, "Okay, all right, I'll slow down a little bit." But after I got off work, I still have my sled on the trailer, and I was like, all right, cool.
Keep in mind, guys, he had a sled on his trailer, and it was July. This was the last weekend in July that I was, or when was it? No, it was last weekend in June is when it was. So it was actually almost July
Yep.
1st when we met. It was like the last couple days of June, and so you had your sled on your trailer. Why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, thing goes everywhere with me. Like my fourth child. But I went home after work and I picked up my wife and my daughter, and I told my wife, I'm like, hey, check this out. This is what's going on. Like, we got to go now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to make sure the slide's kind of polished up so it looks really good. And, there's some stuffs on it, from the previous rider. But, we got there and we are waiting at the gas station, and I seen you pull up, and I was really nervous, and I'm like, oh, maybe okay. And then you waved to me. I'm like, all right, gotta go. So I get out there, and you come over and we start talking, and going back to what you kind of said, John, is you know what you can do for someone with just a small amount of time can
Yeah.
make the biggest impact. You never know what you can do for someone in just the shortest amount of time. And that time, that we got to talk, yes, it became clear on what I wanted my purpose to be here in the industry. And
Yeah.
it was really crazy because after, we got done talking, I actually was driving home, and my wife asked me, she's like, why are you so silent? I'm like, well, Jamie, to be honest with you, I think that I just found my purpose. Like, it's so crazy on how 15 minutes out of somebody's day can make the biggest impact.
Yeah.
And what that meant to me, John, actually, it meant the world to me. It was, you taking the time out of your personal, your family road trip
Yeah.
just to meet. It really inspired me to go, okay, this is what I want to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, and so I'm going to pause you for a minute here, guys, because this is something that, let's call it paying it forward, right? Because I'm going to take everybody back to a moment in time, maybe let's call it about a year ago, maybe let's call it 2 years ago. I had a manager at work who, gave me this advice once, and it's been some of the most powerful, inspiring advice that I've ever gotten in my life, and yet it's so simple. And I think it completely and totally pertains to the discussion that I've had with Devon and with Todd up to this point. And the advice was to me, and this is in a business professional environment, but I tell you what, it works in life. And so write this down. You guys ready? If you don't have a pen, that's okay. But if you have a pen, write it down. Just be you. That's it. Just be you, right? And so, like, I remember being in a world where, like, you thought going into a job interview or going into a show like this or whatever it was that seemed like this big moment in time that we all feel like sometimes we have to put on this facade or this show or whatever it is to make people like us more than just being us, right? And that's the part I want the two of you guys to understand is that I like both of you guys for who you are, right? Like, the old you with drugs and alcohol, I probably wouldn't have liked that person, right? But the person that you guys are, as I met you, you've shown passion, you've shown inspiration. What you guys are looking to do going forward into the sport and continue to infect this industry in such a positive way through, whether it be Live Large or, Soul Sledders or, Baker's Backcountry. But you guys are finding your own niche, you're finding your own life, but you're inspired by what we've started here and you're continuing to spread it out in the industry. And I just, my advice to you and everybody watching is just be you. Like, it's been the most empowering words that have ever been provided to me going through these interviews that I've had recently. Like, it takes all the fear and all the, nervousness away to be able to sit in front of somebody and just be confident that I am me. This is me. Like, take it or leave it. You got to be nice about it. You got to be professional about it, but just don't be afraid to show who you are. And, if it sheds a little tear, like as you were talking, Devin, like I got a little emotional. I don't know if it was obvious or not, but my eyes were starting to get a little watery. Like, the fact that that meant so much to you means so much to me that meant so much to you, right? Like, it sounds silly, but it's the same thing. And Todd, you're right. In your conversation earlier, like there was multiple times where I'm like, Todd, you're being a butthole. Knock it off, right? Like, let's have a conversation, right? And it's like, you'd send me a text message and you'd be like, where's my prize? And I'm like, Todd, what the hell's your problem, right? Like, and it's like, you didn't mean it that way, but it was the way the message was coming across. And so, instead of blowing you off, like I picked up the phone and we had a conversation and we quickly straightened it out because I was willing to invest my time in you guys the way you're willing to invest your time in me. And that's how we all grow together, right? Like, I'm a better person for knowing both of you two. I hope I've made an influence the same way for you guys. So
Absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%.
awesome, awesome. So I've lost track of where we're at. So we've gone through all the stuff. We've talked about this mentorship, the coaching. You guys paying it forward. Todd, did you got a chance to talk about your page, the Soul Sledders?
Yep.
So I think we're at the point where we want to talk a little bit about the partnership specifically. Like, how the heck did this happen? All of a sudden, I saw on Facebook the other day that, like, Baker's Backcountry Team is partnering with Soul Sledders. Like, what the heck does that mean, and how did it happen? How did you guys get to that point?
Well, I'll start out.
Yep.
All right.
So
Go ahead, Todd.
when it was originally starting, Devon had asked a couple questions about, the live large and this and that, and how he wanted to make a video, and I just kind of gave him my input here and there, and we kind of hinted around, like, would you be interested in filming or sending some videos my way? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I watched him kind of go and do his own thing over here, and I'll be honest, I thought he kind of forgot about me for a minute. So I watched him build this team and this passion that he had into Baker's Backcountry Team, and I just kind of sat back and I just kind of watched it, and I watched it grow, and I watched his feedback on the page itself, getting these riders combined and on track with this, and coming out with shirts, and I just thought it was super cool. And so, we kind of shared advice, or, I kind of gave him advice. He called me a couple times and had a couple questions for me, and I just kind of gave him, my 2 cents, you would say, and just kind of left it at that. Well, then I'll let Devon take it now.
So yeah, that was actually, I do remember that you actually sent me a private message on Facebook, and you're like, hey dude, did you forget about me or something? Did I do something wrong to make you mad? And I was like, oh, Todd, no, what are you talking about, dude? Like, I got a little sidetracked, with starting Baker's Backcountry Team. No, Todd, I did not forget about you. But then it kind of sparked, like, oh yeah, wait, where did we leave off? Oh, that's right. Hey, you know what? I still want to do this filming with you, and I really had it in my mind, like, what if we not necessarily combined, but came together as more like a riding family?
Yeah.
Because with Baker's Backcountry Team, there's no I in team.
Yeah.
I mean, to everybody that's on my team, even you, Todd, it's you guys who make it on what Baker's Backcountry Team really is.
Yeah.
So, all my respect goes out to you guys, even you, John, for inspiring me to do this. And so I asked Todd, I finally just worked up the courage, to ask Todd, hey, what if we brought both of, Soul Sledders and Baker's Backcountry Team together and made one film together? And, Todd was just like, absolutely. And I was like, no way. Like, no way, really? Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, I ended up adding him to Baker's Backcountry Team page, and actually Ryan Cook, he actually mentioned to me, like, hey, there's only a few of us riders. What if we added Todd into this too? And that's when I kind of spilled the beans to my team riders, and I was like, well, guys, check this out.
Here's an
So we're
announcement.
actually going to be doing a film together. We're actually going to be coming together, and I tell you what, it was so awesome. Like, I mean, I was so nervous to ask Todd about it, but I'm going for it.
So I'm gonna pause the conversation and kind of bring the viewers up to speed on something else that had happened. You kind of started to touch on it. I paused you for a second earlier on, but it was funny because Devon, you and I met each other, like, I don't even remember what day of the week it was. It was probably like a Saturday, I think it was, and it was I think less than a week later, you started messaging me again as I'm still traveling across country, hanging out, and you're like, "Hey, John, I got this really cool idea. Like, I want to talk to you." And I can't remember if we did it over messages or if I think we picked up the phone and we talked to each other a little bit. And you pitched me this idea of like, hey, I want to do this film, and I want to call it Live Large Volume 1, Volume 2. Each year we're gonna do another volume and stuff too. And I'm like, okay, like that sounds like a really cool idea, and like the concept and everything was about it. I'm like, that's really cool. But I'm like, Devon, like this is the guy, guys, this is just who I am, right? Like, so I'm just going to be honest with everybody, right? And so I told Devon, I'm like, Devon, like I just met you like 2 days ago, like, or 4 days ago, or whatever it was, right? And I'm like let's work up to this, right? Like if I'm going to put my name, my brand around, something that you're doing, like we've got to build a relationship, right? Like we've got to be able to take the time to get to know each other. I've got to be able to observe and watch what you're doing. And that was back in late June, early July. And here we are now into September. It's been almost 3 months later. And I've watched what your evolution has been. And so just this last week, as we started talking about doing the show and stuff too, I teed it back up to you. It says like, Devon, actually, if you still have an interest, and I don't, I'm sitting here thinking like, these guys are probably like have already moved on with this idea and they've already got a new name and everything else too. But like, if you still have interest, I would be honored very much if two guys like you who are out there spreading the positivity and the passion in the backcountry and pulled your talents together. And again, under the understanding that it's not about the riding as much as it is about building this team and inspiring others to grow and develop and to make a difference in your communities, right? To me, that's what I'm embracing and what I'm supporting here, right? And if it's in your hearts and in your minds that you still want to do that, you now have my blessing to do that. And so I don't know what the official answer is, Devon, but like with all that on the table, having my blessing now, if that's something you choose to do, what direction do you guys want to go with this winter? What are you thinking?
Well, actually, can I make the announcement then?
Sure thing.
So,
sure thing.
I actually I got on. I call it the Chat Shack, our messenger for all the team riders. It's a group thing.
Yep.
I asked everybody, hey, I know we've been trying to come up with a name for these films. I told everybody I just talked to John. He gave us his blessing to make the Live Large film. And I'm like, what do you guys think? And everybody was just like, oh, heck yeah. Like, oh yeah, absolutely. So
that's awesome.
John, yes, we definitely appreciate that blessing, and we're going to take it and run with it.
Yep, that's
Live
awesome.
Large, Volume 1.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and something I want to make sure is really clear to everybody is that, Live Large is not mine. It's not me. Like it's a hashtag. Like I don't have it trademarked. I don't, there's nothing I could do to stop anybody from doing it ever. Right. But what I can do is build personal relationships with people that people understand that, at least to me, this phrase live large, again, live life to the fullest, make the most of every day, and do great things for other people, right? Like support the community. And it's like, that's what it means to me. And for me personally to give you my blessing is saying that I'm aligned with your goals and what you do. But bottom line is you could have used that name whether you wanted to or not. There's nothing I could have done about it, frankly. But the fact that you even asked and got my input and asked about it and respected my wishes when we kind of put things on pause for a little while, to me, that's amazing. And so for us to go forward and to put together something, I'm really stoked to see what comes of it, right? And some of the bios of the people who are involved and the things that are going to come through it. And I think you guys are going to see that it's going to be more than just, it'll be sled riding for sure, but it's going to be more than that. It's about the people. It's about the passion and the compassion and the mentorship and all those things that are happening throughout the season this year. As this team and as I and everybody involved grows, it's going to be, I'm super stoked to even be considered part of this team and to be part of it. And I'm grateful for you guys doing what you're doing. So nice job.
Thank you. We definitely greatly appreciate it, John. And, everything, that you're doing for, the sledding community. And, I think me and Todd can both agree on this, that, you have truly inspired us to do what we are doing today.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And Devon, Todd, why don't you, if you have any other words quick here, otherwise I got a quick follow-up here for Devon, but anything you want to say, Todd, before I move on?
No, I'm just honored to be a part of it. I think it's going to be an amazing adventure, and I'm ready to get out there and shred. So whoever's watching tonight, we need a snow dance, and we need a big one, so I'm ready to shred.
Yep, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so, Devon, something you mentioned to me about the Avalanche Alliance that we just had, and again in the show comments, I've got links for the Avalanche Alliance and the sled sweepstakes and stuff that we're doing. But for anybody who hasn't already heard, is last Monday, a week ago on Monday, I announced with the head of marketing and climb, John Summers, Vicky at Erie, who's the head of American Institute for Avalanche Research and Education, and Matt Enns was on. Like, we had quite an A team on there, and we announced a partnership with what's called an Avalanche Alliance, where we have industry leading companies that are out there stepping up and saying, you know what, we believe that, just like John, that the culture of backcountry riding needs to include safety and education as part of the ride. Like, if we're going to go out and ride, we need to get trained, we need to get educated and all of that, right? And then as that came together and we pulled together the sweepstakes, which we've already in only 1 week raised over $30,000 in 1 week. It's amazing. And again,
Yeah,
the link for that,
awesome.
you can get the tickets. You can buy it. You can you can donate money to Erie, and by doing that, you're actually raising money for Erie. You have an opportunity to win a brand new Polaris 850, with a climb
Oh,
wrap. And guess what? John Ferrian Live logo, this logo right here, is going to be on that sled. I'm so stoked for that to be part of that, right? But the cool part, I guess, really what I'm driving home to is you guys can get in there and get in that, but the idea that under the umbrella or under the name of, safety, education, Avalanche Alliance, it's not about the competition, right? Like, I have brands and sponsors. Todd, you have brands and sponsors. Some of them are the same, some of them are different. Devon, you're going to get brands and sponsors. I know you will, right? You've already got some folks supporting you. But bottom line is, it's not about who's wearing what, who's riding what. It's really about the community and getting the backcountry aligned to this idea of like safety, education, positive growth of the sport. Let's continue to drive this message and make sure that we continue to infect the industry and what's going on. And I love the fact that same thing here. We've got Soul Sledders, we've got big backcountry, Baker's backcountry team, all coming together under this umbrella of Live Large Volume 1. Like, it's the same, right? It's you guys are doing your mini version of the same thing I'm doing at this larger version with these other companies. But the fact that you guys are seeing that, you're inspired by it, and you're making a difference in your communities, that's all I could ever have hoped for. Like, you guys, in my opinion, are the biggest inspirational Live Large fans that exist. So
Thank you.
that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So I think that's the bulk of the show. I want to give you guys both an opportunity to give any extra shout outs or thank yous or anything that you want to give. So, Todd, I'll maybe start with you. And, if you want to do a shout out to any of your sponsors or, your wife for putting up with your sorry butt, through all of this, you better say thank you to her for sure. If you don't, I'm going to say it for you. So,
Yeah, big shout out to my wife because my addiction is something else with this snowmobiling. So she puts up with a lot from me. I literally wake up in the morning and put snowmobile videos on, and I'm not joking. And so it's kind of limited my access on that. And my family is a lot, and so I try to involve them in it and working on getting sleds for everybody. And so that's a big shout out. I want to give a big shout out to God because without him, I couldn't do it either. I also want to shout out to you, John Ferrian, for the ambassadorship you gave me. I've been honored. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm going to start getting teary-eyed, but we'll go on to the next one. Jessica Carter at Extreme Realities. She welcomed me to the team this year. I'm very stoked on that opportunity. Climb sponsored me. Super stoked for that opportunity. Alpine Addicts, Mountain Mob. The list goes on. There's a lot this year. High Mark by Snow Pulse and Mountain Lab Products.
Yep.
I want to give a shout out to them. And I want to give a shout out to everybody that's a part of the Soul Sledders group. You guys inspire me, and I appreciate your participation in the page and the group. I couldn't have it without you guys. So there's going to be things to come on that page, some giveaways and some raffles and stuff in the near future. So, yeah, I'm just super honored and stoked to be a part of this industry and be where I'm at compared to 2 years ago. I never even was a thought in my mind that I'd be where I'm at. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Todd, for all your kind words. And so, Devon, look forward 1-2 years from now, and that'll be the list that you're rattling off to. Probably different names, but if you stay positive, you stay on track, like you're at the beginning of something big that you guys are about to do. And perseverance. That's the thing I'll tell both of you guys too. Is like I personally see a lot of people in the industry get really excited, get started, and then they fizzle out and they burn out. And, so that's the thing is whatever pace you take, pace yourself, right? And so for you, Todd, too, no different advice is, 5 years from now, can you maintain this pace and can you do it without burning yourself out, type of thing too? And so just be conscious of all of that, right? I've got to do the same thing. Like I do these shows every single week and it takes time out of my family's life and all those things too. And so just keep that in the back of your mind as you guys move forward and you'll continue to be successful. So Devon, over to you, buddy. So who do you want to give shout outs to, thank yous to, whatever you want to give a shout out to? You better, again, being an incredible, like I'm going to do it. Thank you, Edith Ferrian, for being the most amazing wife ever and the most supportive wife ever, right? And so Edith is amazing. She always watches these shows in the other room. She's on her phone watching usually. So everybody, if you guys, everybody in the comments, if you're watching still, tell Edith how much you love her and how much you appreciate her support of what we do here in the sled community every single week. So drop it in the comments. Tell Edith we love you, we love you, we love you. Personal favor to me. So Devon, you better talk about your wife first. So.
Oh yes, absolutely. No, honestly, my biggest shout out and thank yous and love yous goes to my wife Jamie, because she knows how much passion I have for the sport and how much love I have for it. I mean, of course, I love my wife and my family way more, but she has helped me through this, because yes, there's been times where I've gotten down on myself, like, am I really going to be able to do this? And she always picks me back up. So Jamie Baker, I love you. I couldn't have picked the most perfect wife, like
Boom.
Hands down.
Yep.
It's the best. And to everybody, especially you, John, and Todd, because I got my inspiration from the both of you guys. So, to be working with you guys, it's almost a dream come true. I'm turning my dreams into a reality. And it's wow. That's all I gotta say is wow. It's
That's
amazing.
awesome.
And of course, to my Team Baker's backcountry team and everybody that's on the page, especially my teammates, you guys have made this come true as well. So thank you to everybody that has believed in me. And now I'm going to take that because you guys lit my fire and we're going to burn the house down.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, this has been another fun episode. Todd, you like it when we call it episodes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had another episode in the book, and we got some comments here coming up, and people are just giving us shout-outs. A lot of thank yous going on. But Todd, why don't you show us off that shirt? So that's the Live Large University shirt that everybody can stand up a little bit so they can see the rest of it. Stand back a little ways away so they can see the whole thing. But it's like, BRAP, Live Large University. That's the original edition, which says Education Department. The new ones on the website right now say ARI, where it says Education Department. You can get one that says ARI in there because they're one of our key partners and stuff too. And all the money goes to them to do these Avalanche scholarships. And just so you guys know what we're doing with that Avalanche scholarship is the money's going directly to ARI. We're actually next weekend going to be announcing the winners of the 2 level 1 classes from Brian Lundstedt, Tyler's Backcountry Awareness. So all the merchandise that's been bought, there's 2 classes we're going to give away. I'm going to do that live on the air with Brian Lundstedt next weekend. So Brian is my guest next weekend. He's going to be on talking about his schedule for the whole season coming up, and then we're going to give away those 2 classes. So everybody who bought merchandise through, I think it was the first week of May all the way through August 31st was the cutoff. During that time frame, you guys, anybody who bought are eligible to win one of those 2 Avalanche classes, right? And we're going to have, 1 Avalanche class per winner type of thing. So the same person won't win twice, just to be clear there. But that'll be happening next weekend. So everybody tune back in. And then within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be meeting with ARI, and we're going to dial in the scholarships. And those scholarships, we're going to have a heavy focus on professional educators who are going out there to get trained to come out and train all of us. So all of us in the backcountry. The pro level classes are even way more expensive. They're like 3 to 4 times more expensive than a recreational class. And so we're going to give away at least 1 recreational class to a lucky winner as well. But we're going to spread that out over some other winners as well too. And those announcements will be coming out before the end of the month on who's earned the scholarships for those. So I think that's it, guys. So any final words before I do the final wrap it up?
I've got a bunch of Soul Sledder stickers left, and 100% of those proceeds are going into the area's Avalanche education program as well. So hit me up if you guys need stickers. got lots of them. So
Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Todd, too, actually. And I really want to support that initiative as well because, Todd, you by yourself are at this point the number 2 most highest investor in this program, right? And so we've got another. At this point, I don't think that this person wants to be named, publicly, but we have an anonymous donor who's made a significant donation, who's on here every week watching. By the way, if it's somebody who's watching almost every single week is a big donor for that too. But Todd, second to that person, you have raised the most money for that Live Large and Avalanche Scholarship Program through personal donations, and it's all about that Soul Sletter, donations back to the Erie program as well. So I'm grateful for what you've done, buddy. Look me in the eye and tell you very heartfelt thank you for being so supportive of what we're doing. So
absolutely, we're saving lives.
It's super meaningful. It's super meaningful. So thank you guys all. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. And as I tell everybody, don't forget to live large. And God bless everybody. Have an amazing night.